morning, everybody, from the magnificent city of Deauville for the second day of conferences of Deauville Green Awards. Before starting this panel, I would like to underline how much I'm happy to be there because as partner with Sonovision and MediaQuest and also 360 Festival, I feel a lot of good vibes and it's great. So today we will speak about VR with our panel, and by my side I have Ursula, who is consultant, and also I have Antonio, who is producer on So Much, but he will soon tell you all the things he does. And we have also close to us, but by video conference, Michael Giedel, producer for Actrio Studio, and also Arnaud Casella, who is a technical leader AR/VR for Veolia. So to start this panel, I will ask to my guests to present themselves, and ladies first.
So good morning, Nathalie. Good morning, everybody. It's true that it's a fantastic space. We are in beautiful city, so it's a really pleasure to be here. I'm Ursula Gleisner, a consultant on XR VR market for many years. I'm working with different organizations, companies, projects on strategy of marketing, communication, and also on development of international projects. I've been involved recently in marketing strategy and preparation of our Recto Verso, the International Digital Art Festival that we did in April during 3 days in virtual reality Laval Virtual World. And we were really focused what's the next level of the future of culture, museums and art. And as well, last year also I have a great pleasure to work with Room on a Jean-Michel Jarre concert in virtual reality. So it's only to mention a few projects of many.
An amazing project.
Yeah.
And you, Antonio?
Hello, thank you very much to everybody. Thank you very much for the organization. Nathalie, Ursula, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm a producer and distributor of documentaries based on social and anthropological topics and issues. And also I'm the director and founder of a film festival in the National Anthropological Museum of Madrid. And we use VR as a tool for researchers to have a deep and immersive experience. So it is the way to make the researchers be there without being there. So we use VR as a new tool for us. It's very, very, very amazing.
Michael, are you with us?
Hello from Germany. Hi. Hi, Ursula. Good to see you again. It's
Nice
been a
to
long
see
time.
you.
Yeah, so I'm the founder and the producer of Actrio Studio. Been in film production for about 20 years, mostly doing traditional film productions. Then I don't know how many years ago, but since like the word transmedia, got a little bit more of energy. We were on that as well. Then getting into VR production, traditional 360. We're still doing this for museums, for social and environmental causes, and also doing interactive stuff, and now doing games productions. Because yes, most of our topics are about social or ecological things, and we think that just especially VR as an immersive medium can move people so much that it can actually help adapting to new habits and be a key part in education.
Thank you, Michael. And last, Arnaud, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Arnaud Casella. I'm a technical leader at the Veolia Digital Lab, and I'm in charge of all the 3D VR AR subjects, and mostly I'm an expert in a new technology since maybe 10 years. So yeah, I'm really happy to be here because it's a good opportunity to join technology such as VR and everything with green subjects. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, thank you. So as you see, there is a lot of different backgrounds, so it will be very interesting to see from your different point of view which are the benefits of VR and perhaps the limitation. So to start this panel for everybody, could you define with all your respective references the added value of VR versus traditional media? We'll start.
Okay, let's start. So it really depends on the sector, but if you are really talking, of course, it's the emotional side. It's also a fantastic tool to show different point of view, to implicate people in understanding of the other's position or the other's conditions. It's a fantastic tool also in learning, because we use it lots in the trainings, in learning new skills for education, medical goals. So lots of. I pass right now to.
It's the general overview of an expert, but we have more insight with producers.
Yes, it's not easy to produce VR because there is not a screen especially to expose it, exhibit. So it's a personal, it's a own experience. It's very immersive. You are only alone with the experience. You cannot share it while you are doing it, just after or before. But for us, for anthropologists and human researchers, it's an amazing tool to make, not to produce, to sell it. It's not easy, but we have started to do distribution. First time I've done distribution of VR, and it's working. People at home, they are using it. And for museums, it's very amazing as a tool also for visitors. They cannot go physically to the museum, and right now they can be in the expositions at home. So it's another way to.
Michael, as producer, can you give us more insight regarding the benefits of VR?
Yeah, I mean, I think from my side, from what I see in the distribution landscape, I mean, there's already been a couple of traditional sales agents and distributors that took on this topic of VR in the past. And so in Cannes or in other markets and festivals, they are already presenting VR projects and they are selling it directly to audiences. And the audiences could be technically just events or VR cinemas. There was something like VR cinemas at some point, you know. There is not so many left of them. And then, of course, there is also the stationary access, like really not VR cinemas, but localized VR action centers, I would say, you know, for the audience, probably best to understand like this. And there you can experience also films. You can not just play games. I mean, these are some things that I think worked well. Also, televisions at some point were experimenting with VR. That's not so much, sadly, the case. I think there's hopefully going to be a rebound, and as more and more people adapt and buy glasses for their home use, there will also like straight to home distribution that's going to pick up and going to be a more valid revenue stream for producers. But yes, so far I have to agree with Antonio. It's not so easy to finance and to distribute because the audience is limited and the use case is very different. So lots of audiences just have to adapt to this new form of having, a single person experience versus being in a cinema and doing it with a lot of different people. However, VR on the other side also allows us to connect to friends across the globe and be in the same room. And that's also something that not just Facebook, but also lots of other like VR chat and others are doing for a long time already. And it proves to be very successful with the audience.
I think, Arnaud, you can complete these messages with your experience as a final user.
Yes, all that has been said is really interesting, and I want to add an engineer point of view And I would say that the aim of VR is having the most realistic experience as possible. And the added value of VR is, you know, the trend to having total immersion. And as we are three-dimensional sensible beings, I think when when in an experience you can act like you will act in real life, you make the user immediately involved emotionally. So that joins what Ursula said. But yeah, it's a good way to put forward your subject by involving users.
Maybe I want to just add one very quickly. What Michael said, it's also VR. It helps people to gather. For example, that's why, especially in post-pandemic world, it's so important. For example, right now there's lots of hybrid events that they are in presence and also in the virtual space. So we can gather there in the form of avatars.
Yeah.
So it's used also many museums. I think Natalie, you know also very well. Museums, festivals, events. They are really taking part in virtual reality. So this is also another characteristic.
Yeah, that's a good, good
Natalie?
remark. I was, to sum up, I was trying to say we talk about empathy, immersion, but also right now interactivity.
I would like to add, once we do VR, I think we have to do classical movies, classical films, and VR as another tool. So versus films, classical films and VR, I think we have to use both because with the classical films, your point of view is directed. You cannot move yourself, but you can leave this freedom to the spectator to be his own director and to focus the shot of his view to the things that he's interested. So I think it's not different, but we have to combine both, I think.
I know several people here have used VR for sustainability messages, and so in this case, what can we expect and what can we do? Maybe you can start.
I have a pleasure to be consultant for UNESCO 4 and 3 years ago. And actually, as I'm passionate about XR for many years, actually, I was really interested how we can use it for social purposes and messages. And actually, for example, there's lots of today NGOs, they are using VR to increase, for example, understanding about people's conditions. Because once again, if we watch the film or we read something, and we watch experience without any layers in VR, we are really touched by the people's conditions. You can really understand their position. So, for example, even United Nations, they had the VR department who was doing a lot of series in VR. Also, UNICEF was doing, for example, is using VR today for training and education. Training also healthcare specialists, because once again, using 9 degrees of freedom, you can even do the surgery, so you can teach the doctors all around the world. For the kids also, it's for education. And also 1 month ago, it's also very interesting, we can also use VR. I was part of the Hack the Hospital. It's an initiative of 5G lab and garage stories between hospital in Boston and Barcelona, so Spain. And for example, also it was 35 teams for more than many from many nations. And actually it was interesting using how we can use VR to help kids to overcome the trauma of hospitalization. So it's really, for me, VR, it's a tool that's really increasing the message, our point of view, and also maybe last point. NGO also, they are using VR and in order to collect more funding, because if the funders and investors, they can really see the films, they are touched, and there were some studies done that they give, I think, 2 or 3 more they collect 2 or 3 more funding amounts than in normal cases.
Thank you, Ursula. I think Michael also used VR for sustainability message. Michael? Did
Sorry, I
you?
was me. Hello.
Did
yes,
you?
I mean, yes. I mean, as I said, I think it's a great tool for moving people and for showing, how conditions, how nature is. Be it Greenpeace, be it UN, UNESCO. There's lots of also NGOs that are going to it, and it's really good because now, like the basic equipment of doing VR is not so expensive anymore. Doing easy, documentary VRs doesn't cost like shooting a big feature film. So this really allows us and lots of NGOs to create experiences on a documentary format that are, a really big help for the people, because it just makes a difference, if you are, just putting a traditional camera, to like a boat and some whales that are, trying to being captured or are being, hunted, or you do this in 360 and you document this in a very different way, because people are just thinking, because you really think you are there. That's the difference with VR. It's really that you believe that you are in this situation, that you are really there in the moment. This makes a huge difference. And yes, we are doing this. And I mean, I was also part of the jury here at this year's Deville Green Awards, and I saw a lot of traditional documentaries, which also have like great messages. But sometimes I thought, what if they would have done like an additional 360 case? That might have really been interesting,
When do you think there is no choice, it's for VR only? When do you think your content is just
Well, I think
fit to
VR is a
VR?
new medium, so it's really, there will always be like a television in the room or just a flat screen. I think to some extent. I don't think that everyone will wear glasses like this and then be in VR all the time. I mean, that's probably a little bit of a fantasy in science fiction right now. It might come, but traditional TV and traditional films still have a big case and is still great, and it's very moving. And also, traditional films are very emotional. It's not. I don't want to say VR is much better than traditional film or traditional 16:9. That's not what I really want to say. I'm just saying it's just stronger in some ways to use VR as a medium.
One of the other aspect of VR is it's the life cycle of the content. What can you tell us about that? And I think everybody will have something to say. Michael?
Oh, me again. Okay. Well, in terms of the life cycle of VR, yes. I mean, there is more film productions and television productions than VR productions right now. So the amount of VR films is still limited, and that's for the ones that are out there and that are good is good, because they have a longer life in the festival circuit, and they are not being replaced so quickly. Like every week there is a new film in cinemas. So that's definitely good that those are being given a longer chance to be exhibited and that people can reach those. However, of course, the means of distribution are also at the same time limited. So I think right now it's a good moment to still join and test and be in exhibition. And I think a lot of festivals, like Antonio's one and a lot of others, are picking up and creating sections, especially for VR, which I can just congratulate and applaud for this decision to do this. So I think the exhibition ways and the number of festivals that you can screen your content is growing.
but it's not only on festivals, because there are also another uses. There's also location-based entertainment. So it's true it was very damaged during pandemic times, and but it's coming back. And also another one, it's also we can use the VR content for example, in museums, for cultural institutions. Lots of museums, they are using a different VR production. For example, Musée National d'Histoire Nationale à Paris. They are using, for example, content around prehistory with dinosaurs and another beautiful VR project. So also VR producers, they can also give the distribution actually to search for different alternative ways of distributions.
I would like to add, it's not easy to expose in a festival a VR documentary. I was in the hall screen, and how you expose, because there is a screen. And as a director of the festival, I have to move the camera around to make the people understand how it works. But I am the one who's moving the 360. You cannot expose the whole of the museums, so it's not such easy at festivals. So someone has to move to make the audience understand what is all around. So they have, after that, to have their own experience at home. So it's not easy to expose in festivals because it's 360.
Maybe, Arnaud, you can tell us what is your feeling regarding the life cycle of VR content or immersive content and the exposure you can benefit from this kind of content as company?
Yes, as you said, it's difficult to imagine how to display such content in festivals because it's a new medium. It's totally different than videos. And why? Because the distance between the screen and the viewers are completely different. And we can see it through time, because when cinema appears with the Frères Lumière in 1890 something, it was a cinema. So you could have many people watching the same thing, and when you move forward in time, the screen is closer and closer to the user. We have, for example, desktops where you can have only 3 people or 5 people behind the screen. Then the smartphone, which is closer, and now the headsets, which gives the VR experience individual character. Even if you put it, if you make it multiplayer, or if you broadcast the stream, it's firstly a personal experience. So that so we have to take it in consideration when you are displaying this kind of content in festival. And secondly, you have to take in consideration also the body in space, because you can watch TV on your sofa, it's okay. But if you have a coffee table in your living room, on TV it's okay. But if you have it on VR, I don't recommend it. So it's a totally different experience, and you have to take into consideration all of these elements. What I would say, for example, the sensitivity of the user. There is a phenomenon called the motion sickness. You have to take this in consideration also in your life cycle, because the duration of the experience will change according to your target. If you are aiming if you want to show experience to older generation, maybe the experience will be shorter. If it's for younger people, maybe you can have more time on that.
that's right, that devices are still an obstacle for mainstream user experience, but there is more and more new hardwares who are released on the market now, and I hope we can expect a better and better experience coming. I think there is a lot of producers and sponsors who are wondering if VR content are more expensive than traditional content. What can you say?
I don't
that?
think at all it's more expensive. It's not at all. It's much more less expensive because once you put your camera 360, nobody can be around of the team. So maybe one person can produce everything. So for a classical movie, you need a sound engineer, a DOP, other people using all these tools for filming. But with VR, you just you choose where to put the camera, and you have to leave it because you cannot be. You are gonna be part of the scene. So for us, it's just. Very cheap tool. You pay 2,000 euros for a camera, you put it and you leave. It can be recording for hours in 5.7K. So for us, as a producer, it's not expensive at all.
But it's 360 content. It's not experience really, for example, with animation or with interaction, because this is very different.
Exactly.
So just to differentiate two things.
So,
As
I film reality, so we don't do animation.
I think like traditional video, you can make it with an iPhone or with Arri Alexa, and it's the same with 360 filming and producing, no? What do you think?
Yeah, but once again, it's true that for example, there are lots of VR experiences. They are very expensive because once again, they are using animation. They are using
Intelligent,
effects, artificial intelligence, also lots of interaction. So this is the team. It's work of the team with sound designers, with developers from the beginning of the project. So it really depends of what content we are talking about. But from 360, it's true, it's much more easier.
And for reality, we don't have to do any effects or we just post reality, so we don't need even to edit it. Just to cut it but for us, it's very less.
Michael? Do you have some feedback to tell us about this point?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. There is, of course, this big range of just taking like a camera off the shelf and then put it somewhere and then you can record and then everything like that. But like we also did fiction, live action films in 360, and we also just are in post-production for a documentary for one of the biggest museums in Berlin. And here, you know, it was quite expensive. We had like a set reconstruction. We had like, of course, DOP and sound guys and everything like on a normal documentary shoot. And yes, it can be quite expensive. And the problem is actually that you cannot be around. You cannot be behind the camera. That's actually a problem in most cases because you have to be far away. You have to look into your monitor and you need to judge from that. So in documentary, you also have to be sure that no one is in the 360 space, which sometimes is complicated, especially if you want to film in public spaces and people are looking at the camera and so on. So there are some things that you need to you be aware of when you film 360. It's not, you don't have so much control, even in production. But it's an interesting point, but I think Arnaud can also say something about that.
Yes, I agree. It depends. It really depends on what you are doing, actually, because of course you could say that you put your camera and that's it. But you have to take also in consideration all the interaction and all the user experience, and you don't have to care about that when you are just filming. A simple movie, if I can say it like that. Yes, you don't have to manage the sound, the lights, it's not as complicated as on a set, but yeah, you have to have a UX user experience approach that force you to think your movie, and that can take quite a lot of time.
Yeah, and can you give us an example of what Veolia did with VR previously?
Not Veolia, because I had another other experience, and I'm just quite new in Veolia. I'm just I've been here for 6 months, but I had I had to do training experience for Air France or for other company, and yeah, we spent a lot of time in conception before doing the project.
So we talked about the cost. Let's talk about producing. Is different opportunities for funding, or it's more difficult than versus traditional production?
A few years ago, Arte do the 360 channel, but they are not more producing because before, well, not that like in the 2012, because there was a new thing, so they don't know how it's going to be. But they realized that when you do a 360, after 6 months, you have had like 2,000, 3,000 spectators. But if you do a classical movie, in the slot of the Tuesday, you have almost 1 million spectators. For a TV channel to fund, and to give money for that product, of what kind of product of film, is not a good business. So there are less and less funds for that.
Actually, yeah.
May I just add something? Arte, as a public television, has the mission to experiment. So they started to experiment VR. But as you know, there is a convergence with broadcast and IP, and there is more and more opportunities to experiment other media, like, for example, video games and intelligence artificial. À chaque fois, je artificial intelligence, and so they experiment more and more things. So the ratio they give to VR is by the force of the nature less important.
But they are still funding Arte, France Télévisions, so thanks to them, they are still funding few projects per year. There's also CNC in France, so for France, CNC also is funding on different stages of VR projects. There are also regional funds for innovation, or so lots of VR producers in France, they are using the CNC, France Télévisions or Arte, plus the regional funds, and after that also going, there are also VR joint venture capitals, they are coming into the VR. For example, there's the VR fund, that is in the United States, but also Orange comes into it, and they are regroup lots of investors. They are looking for great, but maybe not typically VR. It's maybe AI and XR projects. So it's more and more.
And I think there is a rising market with museums.
I think it's the future of the museums is the way to bring people to the space without being physically. I think it's the future for them.
Michael, do you have something to tell about that museum?
Yes, I mean, yeah, we are doing experiences for museums, interactive and linear. And yes, of course, that is something museums are just picking up now. Like until not recent, they were reluctant because they thought, oh, you know, then I always have to be one person sitting next to the person that does the VR just to be sure that security and all of this is maintained, and also the sanitation, like you always have to clean it afterwards. So for museums, it's a lot of effort, but still, even though they have all this effort, they realize they have to do it because they see the potential and the advantages of doing this in the museum, but also now museums want to reach out. So they want to go beyond their borders of their own physical space, but reach people in other places. And there VR is just perfect, I would think. Financing VR, yes, there are all of these different funds. There's new players, but also like the old players, even CNC and all the most of the German funds picked up it. And of course, it's with much effort and less budget. But at least they are supporting it, so that's great.
And once again, concerning museums, how it's really important that we are going inside. In France, there's a Grand Palais Immersif, so it's a new entity that is dedicated to Grand Palais Immersif. They will be producing hybrid experiences like Pompeii that was in France. So it's also very important that they know that the future for all the cultural sector.
Arnaud, what is the place your company will give to VR in the next year, and what is right now the ratio dedicated to VR in terms of budget, in comparison to traditional video production?
Actually, we have a digital lab, and I'm working in it, and it's a center of costs. So Veolia spend an amount of money in that research and innovation structure, and with that we are trying to catch what is the as you said, the added value of VR and what we can do with this, and of course, and that's why I'm working in that field. Of course, they will have a lot of opportunity and a lot of way of broadcasting messages with VR, with good interaction, and I think this will be really important to invest in that kind of technology if you want to go deeper in the what they call Industry 4.0 in matter of for example, trainings or marketing or conception.
Do you have a roadmap? You wish?
Yeah, we have a roadmap, but it's not acted. I mean, we are trying several stuff, but we try to have a lean approach. We are trying things, we adjust, and we're moving.
So we talk all of us about the merging of other formats, joining VR, intelligence artificial intelligence, and maybe AR with mixed reality. So how do you see, all of you, the future of immersive formats?
Well, I think that the future is holographic. I'm really quite sure, not sure, but I will bet of it that holographic is going to be a kind of more three-dimensional future for that kind. VR is just a step technologically to go into this deeper experience, and 3D is...
I hope that we'll have just like very small tool. It's because all the hardware companies, they are moving so far. Every 6 months we have like new revolution. So I hope that it will be something very small, useful, that we can use it very easily and transport ourselves to another world, or to like augmented reality to have layers. So maybe into like even 2 years ago, 2 years in the front, it will be maybe something like very, very small. So I hope so.
Arnaud, how do you forecast the future of immersive formats?
Yeah, that's a wide question. I think the holy grail of VR is having a full immersive world where virtuality and reality is mixed up, and you can see the difference between worlds, the real world, and simulation. And okay, that's you can be afraid of that, but actually, when you think about it, it can be a really good thing, because just imagine that you can be able to travel all around the world just like that, without exploding your carbon balance, for example. You can learn anything as fast as ever. You can live experience you can only dream of right now. So yeah, that will be as I said, the holy grail of VR, but we are far from it right now. And this because we are only working with headset with 2 or 3 of our 9 senses. I'm talking about 9 senses, not 5, because we always forget pain, temperature, and mechanoreception, which is balance and proprioception. And yeah, the day we manage to do that, it will be really interesting. But for now, I think what will break the VR market will be cloud computing. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It's a technology that makes you able to have cheap headsets, but still having a great VR experience, under the reserve of having a good internet connection, of course. But with the development of the very fast connectivity offers, I'm talking about 5G, for example, we can expect democratization of that kind of services, and with it more and more multiplayer VR experience.
And Michael, I'm sure as an early adopter of technology, you have a clear idea of the next step for VR, no?
Yeah, I mean, there are many players, and there's many things that are being discussed and are being talked about. I mean, Xbox just are changing their business model. There's lots of, as Arnaud mentioned, streaming of games that's going to be happening in the future. 5G is a big driver of that. The telcos are a big driver of that. Orange, for a good reason, invests into VR because they see a big potential in streaming services like this, because we are talking about huge amounts of content. And then also we are looking into next year what Apple is doing with their glasses. This is going to be probably a big game changer. There's probably more like an MR kind of glasses in the future that can do both AR and VR, seamlessly. That is going to be further and further steps to holographic displays and holographic, perception, just with glasses with this maybe sometimes in the future. And of course, I mean, even last year's, Forbes and others are talking about the metaverse. We're talking about the metaverse is coming, it's developing. It's this huge world like where you can live and do and learn whatever you want, like in the real world somehow. There's a lot of money that's being poured into the creation and development of this metaverse. Unreal is also a big driver for that again. So yeah, the outlook for this technology, for this medium is very bright, and could be some frightening maybe for some people because it will disrupt a lot of how we see the world and consume media in the future. However, I think we should not still forget television and cinema will probably exist in hopefully 100 years from now as well.
Thank you. So sure that metaverse would be a good theme for the next panel. And it's nearly time to conclude. I'm sorry. It was too short because you have so much feedback to give us. I thank you, all of you. And before leaving, I would like to remind two people who are attending the festival here at Deauville that they can enjoy a selection of experiences from 360 Festival here right now at this place. And to leave you, I propose you to discover a best-of their experiences produced by Michael and Actrio Studio. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Merci.